4:14 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Just finishing off my cardio. And I want to talk to you about something that I think that has helped me with my trading. And I think it's going to help you with your trading. I've been trading the markets now. If you don't know me, my name's John Howe. I've been trading the markets now for almost 2 decades. 2 decades, right? And the biggest mistake that I've made in my trading career and my career moving forward, being involved with the financial markets itself, is being too sucked in by the current moment of what the media is spinning towards us, right? I'll give you an example here. Back when Trump was being elected, back when Donald Trump was being elected, okay? At that particular time, when Trumpy was being elected, guess what? The market was, the overall S&P market did nothing for a few years. But as we're getting closer and closer and closer towards the election, guess what was happening? The media out there and the whole herd mentality, articles and everything like that, the whole voice is screaming. Everything was saying that if Trump gets elected, the market is going to crash. The market's going to spend a free fall on the downside. And because I, back then, this is 2015 now, 2015, 2016, because I spent 12 months digging into and believing that thought, right? Believing that thought, because I spent so much time on that one narrative and listening to things over and over and over again, I started to believe that to be true. And the one thing that I was totally neglecting is what the market was telling me. This is a big lesson I've learned, okay? I know, Nathan, I'm in the gym, bro. Just doing my cardio. Come and join me, bro. Come and join me. Get the cardio done. Sunday morning. 4 o'clock in the morning for me, Sunday morning. I know they've got it very loud today. I don't know why. Anyway, so when Trump was being elected, I was in a state of thinking one thing, but the market started to do something different. And I know this is very, very simple, but the market started to break out of that sideways range for a while, and it started to trend up. It started to break up. But because the market was saying, okay, we're now breaking out of this sideways range, we're now getting ready to start a new trend, that's what the market was telling me. I was like, no. Right? Now, by the way, guys, at this particular time, I had a $500,000 short position on. $500,000. $500,000 short position on. Because I was so certain this market was going to crash. Right? But the thing is there's the narrative, there's the bullshit out there of what people are telling you, and then there's what the market is saying. And the main thing is what? The market, right? The main thing is what the market is telling us. And that's where sometimes we can well, the market's doing this, but this is not going to work out because of all this other stuff out there, right? And so because I had such a confirmation bias that I wanted to be right, that I wanted to be right in my $500,000 short position when Trump got elected, I was looking for all these reasons why I was going to be right. And then guess what? The market slowly started to break out and it started to go up, right? It started to break out. And again, this is where we can look at all the fundamentals out there, right? Of why something this and this and this and this, and the media and the inflation and all this sort of stuff out there. But the one thing, and this is actually a big slap for me, a big lesson for me in 2000 when Trump was elected in 16, I think it was, is that it doesn't matter what the narrative is telling you. The main thing is keep the main thing. And it's what the market is telling us. And what does that simply mean? Simple trend analysis. It's the main thing. Are we continue to make a downward movement, or are we starting to shift an upward movement? If we go have a look at when Trump was being elected, you know, for a few years we just went sideways. But then guess what the market did? It started to break out, it made a higher high, higher low, and then we took off. The market was telling us that we're now getting ready for a big upward movement, right? And so, because of that, I lost about 200 grand at that time. I made it back through the rest of the year. I think it was 2017, right? I made that back plus a lot more the following year, but that one position lost me about 200 grand because I was so focused on the narrative of what the bullshit media and everyone out there was saying, instead of let's actually come back to the truth. And that was a big wake-up call for me, because I started to realize that all this digging into all these fundamental reasons why certain things are going to happen and blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. The more I dug into that, the more it didn't really matter, right? Now, if we're long-term investors, that's a different story, right? Long-term investors, you buy and hold, you're not really caring about the short term, right? Like I am with gold in the mining sector. I believe over this decade, we're going to see incredible moves. That's a buy and hold mentality, right? You're holding for many, 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 many years. It's a different story. And that's looking at overall cycles. It's a different story. But if I'm a trader of these markets, I'm getting in for a few days, or I'm getting in for, and I'm trying to look for a few weeks, a few week type of move, right? Then, if that's the way that I'm looking at things, and if that's what I'm doing with the markets, then looking at all these fundamental reasons why certain things are going to happen, a lot of the times it just doesn't make sense, right? Tesla comes out with a really good earnings, and that was actually the peak before the pullback. You know what I mean? And some of you guys might be there right now. Some of you guys might be in the situation where I was when Trump was being elected, because before the whole Trump being elected, I traded really successfully. We're just focusing on what the market's telling me, and then trading my system. But for some reason I went down this massive rabbit hole of thinking that I needed to understand all the fundamentals and everything that people were saying. And most things that people were saying was just their opinion, right? And it wasn't really based off what they say, well, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, right? And so I want to encourage you, like I did, to right now, there's a lot of fear out there about the world economy, right? And the more that you dig into this bullshit out there, the more fear you're going to start to attract. The more you start to continue to believe that the world's over, it's going to turn to custard, that's it, tomorrow we're going to wake up and everything's going to be zero. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Slow boats take time for the boat to turn, right? Stop thinking you're going to wake up tomorrow and the market's going to be down 20%. Just no, right? It just doesn't work like that. There's too much money in the system right now, okay? So it's important that we don't look at, it's important to not look at the BS in the media out there of what's happening right now and stop you from seeing really good opportunities in the markets, because there's so many amazing opportunities out there that you can start to take advantage of. If you go to johnsfreegift.com, I'm giving away a free trading course, teaching you about the biggest mistakes, teaching you about my trading system. I'll give it all to you for free. It's one of the biggest things out there to becoming good at this trading, is keeping the main thing. And what is that? It's the market. It always is. If you're a trader, you have to focus on what the market's telling you. Not, well, the inflation's number's going to be really bad, so that's why I'm buying put options. Come on. That's just a gamble. Stop fucking gambling, okay? No, step back. What's my system? What's my approach? All right? And then let's move forward. And I don't want you guys making the same mistake that I did back when Trump was being elected, when I had a $500,000 short position on, because everyone else was saying one thing. Put it this way, one of the big lessons I did learn from that is when everyone is so adamant on one way, guess what? The other way is going to likely happen. I've seen that so many times in my career. Jay says, I'm confused by the market. Well, why is there confusion? Look at simple analysis that I teach, Jay. Look at my last market update. What are we doing? We're making lower highs right now in the markets. The market's in downtrend. There's no confusion about it. What's there confused about? We're confused because we're looking at all this other bullshit out there we're trying to make sense of what's going on in the markets right now. Instead of saying, okay, remove all that clutter and say, what's the market telling us right now? What is the market telling us right now? Oh, we're still in what? A downward trend. That's all that matters. And until that changes, we need to change with it. So there is no confusion. It's like what's happening in the market. Right now, we're just in a pullback phase. Right? So what I did is a video that I did just recently about phases we go through. We're in a pullback phase. Nothing has actually changed. We haven't actually even started an upward trend yet. So there's nothing to be confused about the market, because the market's very, very clear what's happening right now. And again, you want more clarity on that, go to my market update that I did before this one. If you watched it today anyway. Will the price action of Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft be a good indicator when where the market is going? Jay, gentlemen, it's like there's no certainty of where things are going, right? But there's a probability, and that probability is based off what the market is telling us, and also some simple rules of looking for a trade. What is it that you're actually looking for in a good trade? Because if you don't have that, then you're just guessing, right? It's like, right? Because it's so important that as a trader that we continue to go with the market, but have a system, have a plan. If you're just short in the market right now, or you're getting it just based off simple trend analysis, well, the market's in a downtrend. That means the seller's in control because we're stepping down. I'm going to go short. No. That's your foundations. Now let's start to build a set of rules around how can we capitalize on this by having a set of rules, and then looking for those things, right? Looking for those trades, and that's what. Again, go over to johnstreetgift.com right now. I give you my trading system for free. You'll be able to see. Okay, rule number one is what's the market telling us, which is trend analysis, and then rule number two is all about what is the system we're trying to trade with when we're trading with the market, right? All that simply means is I'm identifying when the market's in a trend, uptrend or downtrend, and I'm looking to get into a good time on that trend. I'm looking for a good pullback, and I'm looking to capture the next move. Again, even if you don't want to go over and put your email address in to get the free course, which if you're struggling right now, the very first video you get is the 13 biggest mistakes you're making right now. But the video that I did yesterday, as I'm doing this video, the video that I did yesterday talks about that. Talks about trend analysis and talks about waiting for the pullback first and then jumping on the next move. Waiting for the pullback first, jumping on the next move. So, anyway, traders, that is it for me today. Just to wrap up there, guys, biggest lessons I learned from Trump was being elected was that there was so much noise out there, people were actually screaming the market's going to crash. I was so certain of this as well too, and so I put a $500,000 short position on in the markets at that time. But everyone was screaming something. Everyone was screaming something, but the market was screaming what? It was simple trend analysis. We're going sideways, so there is no trend, and then we started to break out to an upward trend. The market was telling us what was going on. Keep the main thing, my friend, and I promise you your success will skyrocket.